Welcome, everybody, to Bases and Brews, episode 12, with Ben and Brandon. This is the weekly podcast where we talk about baseball and beer and other alcohols sometimes. We stream the show live on twitch.tv/Bases and Brews every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Come give us a follow over there. Watch us live. Or if you can't catch us live when we record it, we post it on YouTube and also as an audio podcast on places like Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast. Just search for the channel Bases and Brews. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at Bases Brews to get the latest updates about the podcast and some baseball news as well. So how are you this week, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, but it sounds like you've had a really nice week.
It's been a busy week, but a really good week. Yeah, I went on vacation for Wednesday and Thursday, and then I came home last night, and then today after work I went and got a new puppy, which I would show, except he just pooped in my room, and I locked him out because my room is one of only 2 rooms in the apartment that's carpeted, and I would rather he didn't poop and pee in this room.
That's fair.
So
that's cool, man.
But yeah,
I saw your video of feeding that was an ostrich.
Yeah,
that shit was so funny,
dude. That wildlife park we went to, I can't remember it off the top of my head, the name, or I'd shout it out, but it's like 20 minutes north of San Antonio, and it's like they have rhinos, they have giraffes, they have tons of like hooved African, it's like all African animals for the most part.
Crazy.
And yeah, it was really cool. And yeah, it's one of those drive-through safaris where you drive along the road and the animals just like walk up to your car and you can feed them.
That's pretty rad. There's a B&B, like, I want to say like 30 minutes from us, that is like an exotic park where you can literally have like giraffes like serve you breakfast.
Nice.
Like, I guess they bring the trays up to, like, they have I mean, to me, that seems a bit much. I don't know if those kind of animals should be put in that kind of a situation, but...
Right. Yeah, this is more of like a nature preserve type deal. That you can drive through.
That's cool.
Like there's actually one animal in there, and it was some like African deer type thing, but they're extinct in the wild, and they have like 50 of them in their park.
Oh, it's crazy.
Just like running around. Flash flood warning in my area. But yeah, what are you drinking this week?
I'm still on that trying to clean my fridge out vibe. Although I think the wife pretty soon is going to be bringing, she got a sour not too long ago, like a week ago, that I want to try. And we'll see how that goes. But other than that, just cleaning the fridge out still.
Yeah. I'm the same. I'm drinking the same thing I did last week. The Elysium Space Dust IPA. Yeah.
I
only drank 2 of them last week, and I bought a 6-pack, and then I didn't touch them.
I promise next week I'll have some more fun stuff. But the only time I drink is when we do this podcast.
Same.
So if I'm not drinking, and I had a backlog before I started the podcast, not counting all the extra shit that I've bought since.
Right.
So, trying to clear that out. I'm hoping I'll be done. Speaking of which, it is called Miss Marvelous.
Nice.
It's sour ale with mango. Bright, tart, and tropical. This mango sour is your new best friend. Simple really is the master of marvelous.
Wow. Your best friend.
But let's see if I can... That might be a little bright, but it's kind of a cool can. It's got a little dope little logo.
That should be it. That should be a thing we do, is read like the description of the beer that's on the bottle.
Not all of them have it, but this one had a really kind of cool one, so I figured I'd read it.
because sometimes they're cool and sometimes they're really corny, and either way, I feel like it'd be good.
Yeah, well, the last couple just haven't had any. Like the one I had, that really, really dark pastry stout I had a couple weeks ago, that literally was just the R2D2
Yeah, I remember that.
picture with the name of the beer. That was
Right.
basically it.
Yeah. Um. All right. Well, do you want
Ooh, that's
to
decent.
get into this?
Yeah. Let's get it. No hot and cold this week. To
Yeah.
be
I mean, I could throw out um Terry Francona for the Indians. Got his 700th career win as the manager of the Indians
okay.
this week.
I can't believe I'm gonna do this, but I guess we'll put the old man that I wish would just fucking retire already, Joe West. We'll give him his props. I think what's he at now? 5,700 and was it 26 games that he's officiated.
5,000 too many.
But either way, that's still an incredible
It's
feat.
impressive.
I don't like him as an umpire, but like that's still an incredible feat.
Yeah.
When you think there's only 162 games a year.
Yeah.
So even if he umpired every single game, I think it's still something like 35 years or 40 years.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't like him. He's just annoying
I don't either, but
and he's
still.
bad. But yeah. Other than that, I didn't really see any like records pop up. Like
Yeah, nothing really stuck out to me this week.
we've been keeping our hot and cold to like guys who um, hop in and or have some career milestone or some MLB record or something like that, and we couldn't really find, or I didn't find any of those besides that one. But getting into some news.
We'll start with the high school pitcher.
Yeah. Okay. So I have this pulled up right now. So in California, there is a high school called Maxwell High. Don't know exactly where, but a pitcher there named Stephen Perry, who is not even on a MLB prospect list, threw 4 straight no hitters, 4 consecutive starts through a no hitter. I think one of those was a perfect game. One of the middle ones.
Oh, see, that's
Like,
that's tough because having been a high school coach, I know that there are just some leagues that just aren't good. Like baseball
yeah.
just isn't
Well,
their thing.
okay, sure.
So
Here's another quick thing that I just read. His 4th no hitter came on the same day that his teammate threw a no hitter in the first game of a doubleheader. So the team threw 5 no hitters in like a 2-week span or whatever it is.
okay, so that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like if they have
Yeah.
a stacked team in like a really bad baseball league, that doesn't surprise me so much, but that's still crazy just to think about. Like even in a bad league, 4 no hitters back to back to back, like
Yeah, exactly. The issue or the thing that's impressive is the 4 straight. Like, yeah, like if you're a really good pitcher, which again, this guy is not, he was not even on a prospect list. Like nobody was even looking at him. And then like to throw 4 straight, like where I mean, essentially he pitched, so high school is 7-inning games. So he pitched 28 no-hit innings. Like
that's pretty nuts.
that's incredible. Even against bad teams, like somebody's gonna hit the ball. It's just impressive, especially in high. Well, I guess there's errors in high school, but I was gonna say there's not great fielding, but
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So my brother today apparently found a mint condition acrylic protected Griffey Junior rookie card at work.
Yeah.
I wish he would have got his hands on it. That'd be going up on my wall right here.
Right? That would be that's a collector's item right there.
Like, it sucks because the guy that got it probably is going to end up selling it. I wouldn't sell it.
No. It would have to be 5,000 or 6,000 minimum for me to consider selling it, probably.
And see, I would. Oh, okay. So he said he's going to hold on to it. Good. Yeah, no, I would ask a ridiculous amount only because I wouldn't want to sell it.
Right.
And if somebody wants to give me some crazy ass number, then okay, maybe I get rid of it. But I wouldn't give it away for market value, just because I don't want to get rid of it. So on to our next thing. I'm hoping everybody saw this, because if you haven't, just look up Cubs and buy-ins.
Hold on. If you haven't seen it, go to our Twitter, which I'm trying to post in the chat. And it won't be our most recent tweet because that was when we went live, but the one right before it will be the play.
I don't understand how this play happens on a professional level.
When
I
literally
just can't understand it.
When I sent it to you and we were talking about it a little bit, I didn't realize there were 2 outs. So
I still didn't even realize there was 2 outs.
Yeah. So there were 2 outs. So had that guy just gone to first, it wouldn't have mattered because it would have been a force out.
That makes it even worse.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying to you.
Because my thought was, like, as soon as Baez turned around and kind of started running back towards home, just backpedal to first. Keep your eye on the guy at third. If he breaks, then you go ahead and throw it home. You give up the run at first, but you get him at home.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't break, then you get the out at first and you got another out. You're good to go.
Also, here's another rule that I actually didn't know. If you get tagged out, so if there's 2 outs and you get tagged out on the way to first and it's not a force play, the run still won't count even if it touched home first, because you have to reach first base for the play to count.
Well, yeah, if there's
which is why, like on a walk-off play, the runner has to reach the guy who hit the ball has to hit first base for the play to count.
Yes, if I am not mistaken, people have been called out on home runs for that exact rule on walk-offs.
Yes, correct.
So that I actually was pretty familiar with.
So not only could he have just backpedaled, had he just tagged Baez out even after the guy broke for home and touched the plate, if he would have tagged Baez out, it still wouldn't have counted.
Well, and then it just like descended into chaos. As soon as he threw it to the catcher.
Then it turned into a little league play where they just threw it around.
When I see stuff like that at the professional level, it just reinforces a lot of like what I think about fundamentals. And we've gone into that a few times, that I think some of the fundamentals are degrading a little bit in baseball. But that was just bad. Like, they said it on one of the morning shows where I'm at over here, that someone is losing their job over that play.
And to be fair here, this is the Pirates they were playing, who are basically a bunch of minor league players. Like, they are the worst team in baseball.
But
record-wise,
still.
are not. No, I totally understand that it still shouldn't happen on a professional level. But if it was going to happen, it makes sense that it was the Pirates.
Yeah, it just, that play to me was just nuts watching it. Because, like, if he just didn't throw the ball to the catcher even and went for the tag himself, he would have tagged him out. Like, he watched him run halfway from, like, the halfway mark to home. Like, he was staring him down and just, like, let him do it and didn't throw the ball until he was, like, on the plate already.
Worst part was, like, the lack of urgency. Because the first baseman just was, like, very, very barely jogging. Like, he was barely past walking to walk Baez back to home plate. Like, if he would have just jogged Baez would have been out and it wouldn't have mattered, or if he would have just been smart and just walked backwards. But
Yeah, he should have just taken like 3 steps back once Baez broke for home, and like that play to me just like it literally hurt. It made me laugh.
Yeah.
Like I literally watched it like 4 times in a row. It made me laugh, but it also made me hurt inside.
I mean,
I'm just like, man.
Yeah.
100%. I have high school players that wouldn't make that mistake.
On the flip side, I mean, smart as hell Baez. You're going to get out. You might as well try to make something happen.
Did you listen to the actual call?
No.
The call on that is money.
Is it?
Oh, it is so freaking good. The announcer's like, when he goes to second, he's like, keep running, you're invisible.
You know what?
Like
I did.
Bro,
I did hear it. Yes, because I remember that part.
It was money. I talk frequently about like how calls can like make or break big situations. Like I hate watching a no-hitter when the call for the last out is not very good. We've talked about it a couple times because there's been so many fucking no-hitters this year.
Yeah.
But the call on that was so good. Like I had to watch it back a few times.
Yeah, it was a weird one for sure.
Oh yeah, okay. So we'll go on to that one. I actually meant to talk to you about that one before.
Yeah.
Because it happened here in Oakland, so it's really funny. I say here in Oakland like I'm in Oakland, but
I mean you're close.
I'm a couple hours away, but like I don't know if I'm close enough to be like here in Oakland.
Fair. Just don't tell anyone you're not from there, and just keep rolling with it.
Yeah, right. Well, then people would really hate me. I'm a Giants fan that lives in Oakland. Well, okay. That's like sacrilege.
Fair enough.
But Shohei Ohtani missed his start yesterday because there was an accident on, I think it was the Bay Bridge, which is the one that connects San Francisco and Oakland. And teams don't stay in Oakland anymore. They all stay in San Francisco and go across the bridge. So their bus had to turn around, and he had to jump on the BART to get to the game. And I guess he showed up too late to do his like full pregame warm up. So they just scratched him for the start. Did
you see the tweet from the official San Francisco BART?
Yes, because Twitter? They said that there was an issue with the BART, and there was like, there was no issue with the BART.
Yeah.
I keep saying the BART. Literally, I was talking about this with somebody today. You don't say the BART. It's just BART. But
yeah. I've been to San Francisco once. I know what it is.
Yeah. For anybody that doesn't know, the BART is basically public transportation. It's like a rail system that links San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. Right? Yeah, they're kind of they're not the old school trolleys in town. Right. Or in San Francisco. These are like higher speed ground, yeah, but they are trolleys essentially that are on like electric rails that go from I think it's San Jose all the way up to the Bay Area. And I think they end in like San Francisco.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I guess they tried to blame it on Bart, and Bart was like, yeah, no, that wasn't us, just because you were late. Like, that's not our fault. Our shit was on time.
Right. The accident was real.
Yeah, the accident was 100% real. And I was listening to people all day, because it was a big running joke out here. And everyone was like, well, why didn't they just get an Uber? I'm like, you guys, they would have had to drive, which would have put them on the same road as their bus.
Right.
Which means they would have still been
not to mention, anybody who's been to California knows that driving is not faster.
Well,
traffic in California. Well, at least the one time I was there, traffic
driving
was atrocious.
In most of California is faster than public transportation, but not in the big cities, not in like San Francisco, Oakland. Well, maybe Oakland is a little bit better, but anywhere in those big cities, the public transportation does tend to be a little bit faster.
Yeah, okay. The one time I was there, it took me, I was in, I'm not going to remember the area name, Oak something. It was like northeast of San Francisco. It was a really rich neighborhood.
Oakdale, no.
I don't know.
Either
it was like 10 or 15 miles northeast of San Francisco. But it took me like 2 hours to get to the airport or something. It took me like 2 hours to go like 15 to 20 miles.
Oh, yeah.
It was atrocious.
I've literally walked places from like hotels faster than I could have Ubered there.
Yeah. But
yeah, so that was kind of funny because he missed his
it
start,
was
but
just-
that 100% meant that he wasn't going to pitch against the Giants, which is kind of a bummer because I was kind of hoping to try and catch a game where he was playing because they played the Giants Monday, Tuesday.
Okay.
So I was hoping he would get in on that Tuesday game, even though it was still kind of tight. But
now he's pitching today, right?
Yeah, now he's pitching today, which means he's for sure not going to be pitching in that series.
You can see him hit, though, because that's still
But see, I don't know if they
shit.
would, though, because they'd have to play him in a position because they'd be playing in San Francisco with National League rules.
He's been playing right field a lot this year.
Maybe they would just have him out there, but I have a hard time believing they would because it's only a 2-game set. I bet you they just sit him one and
Play
maybe pinch hit him in the other or something like that. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. I would definitely pay some money to go see Ohtani play.
Well,
right
and then
now.
I was like, okay, well, even if Ohtani's not there, who else would I want to see? Mike Trout, who's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Mike Trout. So I was like, okay, well, no one I want to see because it's pretty rare that the Giants get to play the Angels, especially in San Francisco.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And I think what Shohei Ohtani's doing, I don't think it's sustainable, but it's fucking incredible.
I mean, even if it's not sustainable, like long term, if he can do it for a season, he's the MVP.
Oh, for sure.
Not even a question.
I don't even think anybody's even put anybody else in that thought process as of right now with what Ohtani's doing.
No.
His ERA is, I think, like 2.15 or 2.14. He's up there at like top 3 home runs. Like, it's absolutely insane.
There's now I'm not gonna remember the dude's name. The guy who's leading the league in home runs right now.
Adonis. He just robbed somebody of a home run the other day.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
But is he leading or has Guerrero taken it?
Him and Guerrero are tied right now at 16.
I was going to say, because I know Guerrero was up there. I saw the best meme about him, but I'll let you finish.
Oh, that was all. I was going to bring up the robbed home run because that play was awesome.
Yeah, see, I don't know. It seemed kind of like, okay.
Okay, here's one thing I'll say. Robbed home runs, 90% of them are not home runs.
That's 100. I would agree with that because they catch it either on like just below where the yellow would be, but because they're going up, it looks like it would be.
Or they catch the ball in front of the wall and then their arm goes like that over the top of the wall. And it's like, well, yeah, but the ball was coming down. Like it wouldn't have made it to the wall.
That's fair. I don't find a lot of robbed home runs to be like really good plays, to be honest.
The only home run or robbed home runs that I love are the ones where they're like climb the wall and like.
Oh yeah, like the super extra effort ones, or when they like jump off the wall and get some actual height. Like those are insane. But like the average one is really boring to me.
Mike Trout does that as good as anybody, and it helps because the Angels' center field wall is like 6 feet tall, so he can reach over it very easily. But like he's very good at robbing home runs.
But yeah, no. So I was kind of bummed that Ohtani got pushed back because I really kind of was hoping to see him in San Francisco, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh well. Did you want to go to the St. Louis one? Or
okay, so we'll talk about this one for a minute because there's a lot I want to cover on this. Anybody who didn't see it, because this actually wasn't reported nearly as much as I thought it was going to be when it happened. Wednesday, I believe it was in St. Louis. There was, I'm trying to, what was his name?
I have the article pulled up. It was,
Gallegos. So Gallegos was being brought in to relieve in the 7th inning, And it's basically as soon as he got out there, Joe West, our boy, basically told him like, "Hey, I need that hat." Like he saw something on it. Basically told him he needed to change his hat, and he wanted the hat so that they could take it back for testing.
The new rules for the testing. Yeah.
And okay, in my opinion, okay, whatever, you switch hats, but they made a big deal about this. The manager, I think you say his name's Schilt.
Yes.
He was not happy. He was not like, I can't stress that enough. Like, if you hear his post game, it was like he talked for, I think it was like 10 minutes on this one subject. And there's a few quotes that I have right here that I'm going to read off because there's some stuff I want to get your opinion on, and we'll go from there. So the first one is, "This is baseball's dirty little secret, and it's the wrong time and the wrong place to expose it." First of all, Gio wears the same hat all year. Granted, these are two different quotes. First of all, Gio wears the same hat all year. Did Gio have sunscreen at some point in his career? Possibly. Does he use resin? Possibly. Are these things that baseball really wants to crack down on? No, it's not. This is not anything that is going to affect his ability to compete.
Yeah.
First thoughts on those first two quotes.
So, first off, the whole like wrong time to expose it is dumb as hell. Like, he's cheating. He's cheating. Like, what do you want him to wait to expose it until a later game? Like, I don't understand that at all. But as far as the dirty little secret, I totally agree. Almost every single pitcher in baseball does this. No question.
Okay. Anything
actually else? Trevor Bauer 3 years ago came out and talked about this and talked a ton of shit about how many pitchers use pine tar or resin or whatever. And basically baseball came out and was like, yeah, we don't really care. And Trevor Bauer's like, okay, well then I'm going to do it too. And then Trevor Bauer's spin rate went fucking crazy. And then baseball was like, we have a problem with this now. And Trevor Bauer's like, what the fuck?
Okay, so I'm just going to say this really quick because Trevor Bauer is now a Dodger and the Giants are playing the Dodgers currently. They played them last weekend. They're playing them right now. This is a rough stretch for the Giants with the Dodgers right now. I got to say Trevor Bauer might be one of my favorite players in all of baseball. People hate him. I fucking love that man.
Trevor Bauer is, all right, because he was an Indian, like I've heard a lot about Trevor Bauer.
Well, I know that's why I figured you'd have a little bit to say about it.
So he's a weird dude, and he is not going to hold back. If he has something to say to you, he's going to say it to you. And I kind of respect that.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw that out there really quick because he pitched against us last week and just beat our ass. But I love the antics. I love the sword shit and all that because I think he takes it as well as he gives it, and I can appreciate that. I can respect that.
He is one of the pitchers who's out there saying bat flip as much as you want because like baseball should be fun. Like that's what baseball needs. Like baseball needs some fun. Like it's like bat flip, celebrate on the mound when you strike someone out in a big situation. Like who cares?
Okay. But to get back to, we can talk about that a little bit more later because I love it and I'd love to get into it a little bit more. But let's finish what we're talking about. So for these, I agree that this is baseball's dirty little secret. I think that that's 100% right. And I agree with you that, like, so what did he expect? Them to wait till the end of the season and go, oh, well, your dude cheated when they can't like penalize you? Are they then going to retroactively make you forfeit every single game he made an appearance in?
Of course not. Because they didn't even make the.
Well, no, but that's what I'm getting at. Like no, if you're going to do that and they found that he was cheating, because it's like there's neither here nor there. They didn't like. There's no
confirmation
that anything was even weird. It's just the fact that they took his hat
by the manager arguing this way and not saying that he didn't do it. it kind of seems like he did it.
Well, yeah, but there is no official confirmation
Right.
at this
Yes.
point.
Agreed.
So for me, I'm like, so let's just let him cheat and then retroactively do nothing because it's the MLB and they've got no balls when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I didn't like that comment. This isn't the time or the place. Like this, when he goes out to pitch, before he throws a pitch, that's exactly the time you try and stop someone from cheating.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm about to flame the system right now. Why are we not looking at all of these pitchers that are using substances on the balls any different than all of the guys that are blacklisted because of steroids? It gives them an incredibly unfair advantage, more so that you might even argue in some cases than steroids did for some people that actually know how to use it effectively.
Right.
But I would argue that I guess the same for steroids, that those were only really effective for people that knew how to maximize what it was doing for them.
Yeah.
But why are we not looking at all these cheaters like this in the same light as those guys?
Because steroids made baseball money. Actually, no, that would be the opposite. I don't know.
Yeah. But it's just a funny dynamic that I'm seeing in this is because it's essentially the same thing as steroids just for pitchers.
Yeah. I mean, because the only thing I can think is that everyone does it and they can't suspend every pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, but I mean, if you really listen to anybody that played back in like the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, they would argue that 80% of the players were juicing, and I probably wouldn't even disagree with them in some respects.
I don't either, but baseball didn't care about steroids then. It wasn't until after they stopped making money off of it that they started to care about it.
No, I hope that we see the same for these guys.
I mean, it's
I don't think we'll see it, but I hope we do.
It's what baseball is. Baseball's hypocritical as shit. They care about cheating unless it's making them money, and then they just sweep it under the rug if it's making money.
So to quickly touch on what you said about Bauer basically saying, oh, you don't care about this. So the manager in one of his other comments basically said there are guys like him that are like, okay, well, you're not going to fucking do anything. Cool, let's do this. One of the other quotes from his 10-minute talk about this was, there are people that are effectively and not even trying to hide, essentially flipping the bird at the league with how they are cheating in this game with concocted substances. There are players that are obviously doing it, going to their glove. There's clear video of it. You can see based on spin rates how guys' careers are jumping off the charts and then do cause an effect. Mm-hmm. So he's basically like, but see, my whole problem with like his whole like disgruntledness is it's basically, I'm cheating. How dare you catch me for cheating?
Yeah. Well, yes, I totally agree with that. I think him complaining about it, if his guy is cheating, is stupid. Because he, at no point that I saw, did he even say like he's not doing it. He just basically was like, everybody's doing it. So what? So
I think there's only one or two really short quotes that I wanted to add to this. So I'll do both of them back to back. Why don't you start with some guys who are cheating with some stuff that they are really impacting the game and impacting how people play this game? I have something to say about that one. And the last one is, it wasn't the right time, in my opinion, for that to happen. Now you've opened it up, so let's go. So
go ahead. Okay, go ahead with your first one, because So it wasn't the right time for that to happen is the quote that like exploded and got him a bunch of flack, because if you're cheating and you get caught, that's the time. Like,
I agree with that 100%.
It has nothing to do with timing. They didn't like wait. It's like, hey, we got proof that you're cheating. We're calling you out for it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand where the issue was with that. But.
I do get it too. And I hope he wasn't, but from the sounds of it, he was.
Yeah.
But my problem with the first one is he's basically saying, go after people that are better than my pitcher because they're just better than my pitcher and they're more effective.
Well, unless there is something more than just pine tar or resin that he's talking about, that he knows about.
He's talking about the like actually like made substances, not just using like natural like game stuff that you would see.
Right.
He's
But
talking
I'm
about
talking like
he's talking about like the goo that what's his name? Bauer talked about like before the season or the whatever. Like talking to coaches, or maybe it wasn't Bauer. But I remember reading an article before the season started where they were talking about like going, like there were actual like coaches they could contact. I don't know if they were actually affiliated with teams or if they were just like private strength coaches and whatnot that were giving them these substances that basically they could use. I hate not having it at hand, but it would take me, I think, a little too long to find because it's kind of vague.
Yeah.
But to me, what I get from it, though, is that's what I have a problem with. It's like, our guy's not as good as, you know, some of these other guys doing it. So why don't you go after them and then come after us when it's our time?
Yeah.
Which I think is bullshit. Like, if you're cheating and you get caught, you just got caught.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, like I said, they could suspend almost every pitcher in baseball, but I don't know. Maybe that's where this is gonna go with, because they put in that new rule about like testing baseballs and like watching spin rate. Like, I don't know how much has come of that, like how much they've actually tested. The only one that came out was Bauer out of anybody, but
I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't think baseball really gives a shit.
No.
Like, now, I really don't.
I'll say
baseball, and I say this just real quick because like look what they did to the Astros for legitimately being caught cheating. Yes. They did literally nothing. I don't think they care. As long as people are watching their game, they don't give a fuck about the integrity of the game, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree. But the only issue is that they're all about well, I guess I don't know. They're about pace of play, which better pitchers make pace of play faster, but they're also about entertainment, which better pitchers make the game very boring for a casual fan. So I guess I don't know which side they would try to fall on, if they would side with pitchers and cover it up, or if they would lean toward calling out pitchers and try to get hitters hitting more home runs. And
so I would typically lean towards they would just back them and be like, yeah, nothing fishy here. But I don't think they're going to be able to ignore how, even though home runs are up, I think we went over it last week, home runs are up a little bit this year.
They were down.
Or were they down? I thought they were up.
No, they were down like 200 from last year.
So home runs are down, but no hitters are way up. Like they're on pace for like 15 no hitters. I think we talked about last week or the week before, which is nuts because I think the most ever in a season is 7, and they're at 6 already.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they can ignore it. I don't think it's something they could just go, no, this isn't really happening like they tried to do with the juiced balls when they first brought those in.
Yeah.
Because the numbers don't lie. Like, these guys don't just all of a sudden start throwing no-hitters out of fucking nowhere. It would have to be like a 1 in a million type year, which I mean, I guess is possible, but coincidences usually aren't coincidences when it comes to major sports.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things that, like, again, because everybody does it, what are you going to do? Like, you can ban it, but it's already illegal. So, like, are you going to suspend 90% of pitchers? Like, you can't do that.
What you would have to do is collect enough evidence to say that a certain percentage of players are doing it. So, like, say your threshold is maybe 70%. And what you do is, if there's even one guy on any team, you fine them X amount of money. Say it's you, and not the players, the team. You go,
Okay.
mid-season, we notice this is going on. We have evidence that says basically all of you guys have someone who's doing this. Every team is getting charged $250,000, and from this point forward, if they are caught using a substance, they will be suspended.
Okay.
Because, I mean, what are the pitchers going to do? If MLB holds strong and actually starts suspending people, like, they're going to have to stop, because what are they going to do? Lose their game checks?
I mean, that's the issue, though, is if MLB holds strong.
Well, but that's what I'm getting at, is that's what they
historically
need to
not
do,
done.
in my opinion.
Agreed. I actually, I don't usually listen to him, but Colin Cowherd, I don't even remember how long ago this was, but he had a thing where he was talking about baseball and how they're so bad at changing anything. And he was talking about how, like, the NFL will change rules mid-season. Like, they will literally be like, we can review this now mid-season. And basketball is pretty good about it. Baseball will not change a rule mid-season or not do something like that. They'll wait till their winter meetings in the off-season and be like, hey, we know that everyone's doing this. It needs to stop. And they'll do it behind closed doors. They don't want a black mark on baseball. It's just baseball doesn't, like you said, they don't have the balls to make some change like that. They just don't.
That's my problem. That's the only problem I have, because the solution I've kind of concocted very quickly in my head, which I'm sure there's better ways you could handle it, but even that I think would work. But it would require MLB, because I mean, like you said, you can't just suspend everybody.
Right.
So what you do is you levy a penalty for all the teams that have been caught up to that whatever point you want to start it, and then basically go from here on out. Suspensions are getting handed out, and the more times you get caught, the lengthier the suspension.
Yeah.
Maybe you start at like 2 games, and then it goes to 8. Then it goes to 10, then you're basically losing tons of your season.
I mean, essentially, we're talking about what the NFL used to do with their marijuana policy, where, your first offense is like a 1-game suspension and a warning. After that, it's like a 5-game suspension, and then you have to do like whatever. But
and I think
essentially just exponential growth.
Yeah, and I think it would work for pitchers specifically, because you would do it based on their starts. Like, you can't just go 5 games, because like that doesn't, like, for a pitcher that isn't, they'd only play one of those 5. So you'd have to do on projected starts every 5 days, because that's what the typical rotation is.
Yeah.
So
or you suspend them for, you take however many games you want to suspend them and multiply it by 5.
I guess that would be another way to do it.
The only thing that's unfair is the big deal. The big point of suspensions as a player is losing the game checks. So the pitchers still get paid for the games they don't pitch. So you're still losing that money as a pitcher, but as a team, you don't feel that suspension. So they'd have to figure out some way to like figure that out. But
yeah, like I said, that was just a really quick, like,
yeah,
that's kind of what I would do. But like, I know that there's a lot more loopholes that you could kind of figure out for that, especially for pitchers, because pitchers are such a weird, like, like, it's hard to punish pitchers just because of the nature of their position.
Yeah, it's one of those things baseball's been trying to deal with for a while, with pitcher suspensions, and nobody's come up with a good solution yet.
Yeah, and it's just tough. It's just kind of funny, because like I said, and I think we both have said, like, he just comes off as someone who's not even saying his guy didn't cheat. He's just like, stop picking on my guys, go pick on the big guys.
Yeah.
That's basically all his like rant was about, and I really dislike that.
Yeah,
It's like the whole Tommy, what, the White Sox issue. It's like your manager's got to protect you. Like that's his job. And this feels like he basically threw his player under the bus, but he was trying to throw everybody else under the bus.
La Russa. I don't know. But yeah, the White Sox manager, like you said.
So it's one of those. It's tough. But anyway, that one's rough. We'll see how that pans out, because it's going to be crazy if he actually is caught and gets like suspended in some way.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, with how public they made it, I'd be surprised if they don't suspend him at least like a few games.
But that's that one. I'm glad we got a chance to talk about that one, because that was, to me, I was like, wow, like from when it happened, and the fact that it didn't get like really crazy news, I thought was interesting. And or maybe it just did, and my market just didn't pick it up as much as some of the other markets did.
No, I mean, I didn't hear about it at all, but like my main source of news is the MLB app and Bleacher Report, so
that's fair.
I heard about it on Bleacher Report, and that was the extent of it.
So I want to get back to Bauer, because like I said earlier,
quick. I added one. Really quick, I just want to mention, so Oakland A's higher ups, executives, went to Vegas this week on the 23rd, which would have been like Monday, and are talking to Vegas officials about moving the team to Las Vegas. It's been okayed by baseball already. Baseball has given their approval to move the team. And basically they were there just kind of figuring out some details and seeing what Vegas would do to accommodate the A's, basically.
So it's basically just a public threat. There's nothing really in it right now. No, like the city council in Oakland is voting on whether or not they're going to give the A's $850 million of taxpayer money to help them fund their next stadium on the water, because they want to do what the Giants have. They want to be on the water with a lot of shopping and stuff nearby, and that's what the Giants are doing right now, is they're building a lot of shopping centers and stuff right next to the stadium between them and Chase Center. So and it's taking longer than baseball wants. I know a lot about this because they've been talking about it a ton on the radio. I guess saying I know a lot, I guess, is overstating, but I know a good amount about what's kind of going on. So what's going on though is the city council is voting whether or not to basically give them the money that they've asked for to build their stadium and the location. They could build where they're at right now. They own half of the land that they currently sit on. But they don't want to build there because they basically have deemed that site not workable. They want lots of stuff around them, and they don't think that where they're at can facilitate that, which I think is crazy. They're literally right off the highway. If they put a bunch of shopping and stuff in there, I think that could be a fucking nuts spot. But that's just me, and people that are much smarter than me are looking at this.
But they want to demolish the Coliseum and build a new one, which they...
Yeah, so they want to build... Oh, fuck, what's the place called? I can't remember exactly what it's called, but they want to build like a waterfront stadium. Almost exactly like the Giants setup. And if it gets approved, they won't be going anywhere. Yeah. But there's also... MLB is basically saying, go ahead and look around because they're taking forever.
Yeah.
And it's not even that they want to leave, but I think the A's have asked for that permission to try and threaten, essentially, Oakland with leaving. Because moving franchises, anybody who knows anything about any of the big sports, not just baseball, football, whatever, like moving your franchise from even just one city to another is a huge undertaking. When when the Niners moved from San Francisco to Santa Clara, that was huge.
Yeah.
It took a lot of work. So that's typically why you don't see franchises move a ton.
Of course.
We're going to do an episode down the road about the history of pretty much most of the MLB teams, I think, at one point or another. We'll have to break that up, but so you'll see how some of the movement goes, but I don't think the A's want to move. They just want their property. They want what they're asking for.
Right.
And if they get that leverage that, say, Oakland or somewhere else is going to fund them and they don't even have to pay because they're going to, literally wherever they move is going to pay for their new stadium.
Yeah.
Then they can go back to Oakland and be like, look, you're going to give us either the little bit that we want or we're just going to bounce where they're going to build it all for us.
Yeah.
Which is where they're at right now. But there's a lot of talk here about wanting the ownership group of the A's right now, if they're going to move, to just sell the team. They want them to sell the team to somebody who's going to try I guess you would say try in more good faith, try to keep the team here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'll say, okay, as a counterpoint, the only thing I would say is the Raiders, because that's what a lot of people said about the Raiders, and then the Raiders left.
Because Oakland didn't give them the money they wanted to rebuild their stadium. It's literally, it's the exact same situation. Yeah, it's 100%. It's why the Warriors moved to San Francisco right next to the Giants instead of rebuilding in Oakland. But it's all the same stuff.
But my point is this, that both of those teams left because Oakland wouldn't pay. And baseball is the least profitable of those three sports. So why would Oakland pay for this and not the other ones?
My only counter argument to that would be if you lose the A's, then you have nothing.
Fair.
Like, you've already lost everything else. You almost can't afford to lose the A's.
You're not wrong.
So by letting the A's explore other options, you're basically like really putting the people in charge of making the decision on whether or not they're going to get this money and the location. Because it's not just the money, it's the location too. Then I don't see the A's leaving. I really don't.
I would.
And I don't know if you've seen some of like the thoughts and like the renders of what they want to do. And the place they're trying to go to is called Howard Terminal.
I saw a model from like 3 years ago. I don't know if that's still relevant or not, but.
Copy. I just put it in chat right now, so anybody who wants to take a peek at what we're kind of talking about. This is from February, so there might be some updates since then, but this is essentially what they are looking to do with the new Oakland Coliseum.
I mean, that looks cool as hell.
It's right on the water. It is insane. The concept.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they have a few different.
Yeah, there's a few different renders. I think the first like circle ones are the newest ones. If you cycle through, you get some of the older designs of what they thought before, like older just iterations of it.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna the potential is insane if they can get this Howard Terminal spot. But I don't think Oakland can afford to lose them. But at the same time,
but can Oakland afford to keep them?
I don't
Can
know,
they
because
pay the money for a stadium?
it's eight. I think they're asking $850 million for taxpayers.
Yeah. And Oakland is not San Francisco where they can drop that kind of money.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
I mean, I'm not saying Oakland's like poor, but they're
no, but
not San
that's literally
Francisco.
almost $1 billion.
And they're definitely not Vegas.
Yeah. If they moved to Vegas, they would basically be going back to their old situation. Vegas is the only legitimate option. Maybe I'm 100% off base, but Oakland is the only place I see them going outside of Oakland. Because I think they would share a stadium with the Raiders again, and you would basically be keeping those teams tethered together.
I actually disagree.
Really?
I think if they go to Vegas, I think they'll get their own stadium.
No, literally, that's why they're pitching Vegas. Is they're going to make the new Raiders stadium more baseball friendly. That was the quoted backroom talks.
Really?
Yeah, that was the pitch that they needed to make
me.
to them.
Because I feel like the whole point would be to get their own stadium. Because
that was my original thought.
So when the Coliseum, I think it's dumb as hell. It's a terrible baseball stadium.
What, the A's Coliseum right now?
Yeah.
Fuck off. I love the A's Coliseum. It wasn't built for baseball, but I fucking love that place.
It's not.
It's not good. It 100% needs a ton of work. But I don't know. I think that's just a Homer nostalgia thing, to be completely honest.
It needs more work than it's worth. So you have to pour more money in than that Coliseum is worth.
I don't disagree with you on that one.
And I mean, I say that about I was talking last week about Fenway and Wrigley and the old Yankee Stadium. Like, all those are not great places to go to see a game because they're just old. But they're just not.
I would argue that going to watch an A's game actually isn't that bad of an experience.
No.
Even in Oakland, right now, the way that call. I mean, it's definitely dated. It's not San Francisco, but it's not terrible.
I mean, again, I've never been there. I'm just from watching on TV and what I've heard players say, it's just not a great area or not a great stadium. I mean,
you'll have to come out here one of these days, and we'll have to go to back-to-back Giants Oakland games.
That'd be awesome.
Because I'm telling you, Oakland tickets are super cheap, and Giants tickets, at least right now, are pretty easy to get because they haven't been good for a couple years.
Right.
And with all the pandemic stuff, people don't really want to go back to games.
Right.
So you got to get out here in the next year or two.
I'll do my best.
But how shit, dude, that'd be dope. By the end of the year, we got to figure it out. And we could do the podcast just in one room, just live. One pod, live.
That'd be cool.
That'd be dope as shit. I would literally take the time to rearrange this entire room just to make that fucking show happen.
Set up a table.
Not even a table. I would just put I'd move my love seat in here. We get some vibing going on. But yeah, no, I don't see the A's leaving Oakland. At least I hope not, because I feel like Oakland needs a team.
I hope they don't leave too. This is not all the talk about how I think they will is not. I hope they stay in Oakland because I think Oakland needs a team, and I think the A's are really good in Oakland.
But I do too, especially because of who's running the team. Maybe not the ownership group, but the actual day-to-day operations people, I think, are doing a great job with the A's.
Yeah. I mean, the A's have been the top in the AL West. Granted, it's not a great division, but they've been up there with the Astros pretty much for the last 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, well, the A's have this really crazy habit of, even potentially winning their division, but then just flaming out.
Yeah.
It's just, and I don't know if it's even just the A's. I think that's just kind of the nature of small market teams.
Yeah.
You can only go so far before the bigger market teams just
Right.
are
Unless
better.
you really drafted great and they all come up at the same time on
Yeah, you get that like
cheap
1
rookie
year or 2 years
contracts.
of lucky teams. Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what the Indians were in 2016. Is we had Lindor, Ramirez, we had a bunch
Yeah.
of pitching, and like all those guys were still on rookie contracts and couldn't really get arbitration or anything. So
We'll have to talk about it maybe in another episode because I don't know if we want to do it tonight because I'm sure there's a lot to talk about. But player mobility in baseball.
yeah,
I think that'd be a
I
good
can add
topic
that
to
to the
cover. Maybe
list.
we'll do, let's just pencil that in for next week.
Okay.
We'll do player mobility in baseball because like you look at the other major sports and there's a lot of player mobility.
Yeah.
Baseball not so much, but I think that'd be a fun topic to cover.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Okay. I keep saying this, but let's get back to Bauer and why I love this fucking man so much. He's gonna, and I hope he re-signs with the Dodgers. Actually, I kind of hope the Giants decide they want to go after him after this year. But I think any team would want Bauer at this point. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Yeah, no question.
But just aside, I think he would fit so good in San Francisco. The weird personality. You had guys like Tim Lincecum, Hunter Pence, these just kind of weird guys that just vibe real good in San Francisco. But I love Bauer. I love the fact that he talks so much shit when he plays. But if you best him and you decide you want to talk shit, he's just like, yeah, you got me. Like, that's cool.
Dude, that's honestly my favorite part about Trevor Bauer is that he just loves baseball. Like, if you want to celebrate a home run and you hit off him, go for it. He doesn't care because you earned it.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot stand the pitchers. Perfect example that we've talked about several times, Madison Bumgarner.
I knew you were going there. I knew it. He is so salty.
Because he is the worst.
I'm not even going to lie. He is. I've watched him for a long time. He gets so upset.
If you don't want people to celebrate off you, don't give up a fucking home run.
I don't disagree.
It's pretty simple.
I always thought when he kind of went on his like, oh, you don't like, dude, just fucking shut up. Or like I love Bumgarner, but I always hated
where
those
the guy would hit a home run and then like bat flip and then like jog around the bases and he's like run and he's like no, I hit a home run off you. I don't have to run.
Yeah. You know what I like? I don't know. Maybe I'm just really fucking petty when it comes to shit like that. If I was, even if I pimped a home run and then slowly started walking and stuff, or started jogging and someone was like, no, you run, I would literally just start walking.
Did you just? That's thunder.
Huh? It might have been my door closing.
No. That was thunder on my end.
Oh, really? Yeah, I saw you look up and was like, I don't.
I saw my like microphone light up like I was talking, and I was like, "Yep, that the microphone with the noise gate just picked up the thunder. It was so loud."
Oh, that's crazy.
Anyway, sorry.
But no, I'm really bummed that he's playing for the Dodgers because like I have to root against him just by the nature of it. But I love what that guy is doing. Like that shit is just I dig it, and I hope more pitchers follow suit.
Yeah, I told you about it last week, but yeah, he has his own YouTube channel where he just like talks about whatever's relevant in baseball and like gives a legitimate opinion. And he's like, yeah, I asked a bunch of people about this. Like when we talked about, what were we? The White Sox with the manager not like standing up for his players. He was like, I talked to a bunch of players. Like nobody has a problem with what Yerman Mercedes did with like hitting a home run on a 3-0 count. Like nobody cares except for the managers and the old baseball heads. Like none of the current players give a shit.
Yeah, I don't like. I just thought that whole situation was dumb as fuck. Like, you're paid to hit the ball. They put someone in that couldn't get the ball past you. Like that's on them, not you.
Right, exactly. And yeah, he just has really cool insights from players because he is a player. Like he talks to these guys every day.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
I wish more people would appreciate him because, like, they on the
yeah.
radio and stuff, they hate that guy.
Oh,
They think
sure,
he.
okay.
But then again, granted, most of the guys talking are former players that are in their like 60s now.
Right.
Krug
The
and
old
Kipe, I love
baseball.
you guys, but like their just mentality on the game is a little different than some
Right.
of the younger guys. Older broadcasters that just don't. They see that as more disrespectful, and I'm like, I don't care.
I'll say this too, having had him on my team, Trevor Bauer is one of those players that if he's not on your team, most people hate him because he does talk shit. But if he's on your team, you love him.
Yeah, it's
I mean, there's exceptions, obviously. Like you're talking about, like you like him and he's on the Dodgers, but
yeah.
for the most part,
I love that man. I hope he keeps that fire going, and I hope he keeps pitching well because I think his shtick is annoying if he's not as good as he is.
yeah, yeah.
It's
I mean,
it's the what? Oh God, what do they call it? The problem tolerance, or what was it? It's the problem to ability tolerance scale. You tolerate a lot more when someone is good than when they are bad.
Totally fair.
Like if he was just butt cheeks and he was doing that, like people would be like, "Go away." But people also wouldn't take him serious. He's so good that it bothers people because he does it after he just slays your team.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I will say this because he's been, multiple years, he's been in the Cy Young conversation. He won it last year. Like, I think even if he dropped off, he has the kind of pull now where he could still say some shit and like
For
people would be
maybe
like, people would
maybe a
respect him.
couple years, but I don't think like, so say this was his last good year. This was the last year he actually had like what you would consider a good year. And it just slowly declined from here. I don't think people could put up with it for more than like a year and a half after that.
I think it depends.
I think next season people would go, okay, maybe it's just a down season, but then he has another half a year or a year where he's not good again. I just don't see people. I don't think would take him serious. Like people.
I think it depends on the people we're talking about. Because I think players still respect it. Like most players like him. Like, he was one of the favorites in the Cleveland clubhouse when he was in Cleveland.
That doesn't surprise me. He seems like a nice guy, like a likable
Yeah.
guy. He doesn't seem like a douchebag.
Yeah. But like media and like obviously old baseball heads already hate him. But like media, I think you're right, would turn on him. But,
Yeah, like I think most people would turn on him. I don't think, like you said, like I don't think his teammates would turn on him or anything and be like, "Hey, you got to stop doing that shit." But I do think like the majority of people, like the people that play against him, the media, I think they'd be like, "Guy, dude, just cool it. You're not that good anymore."
Yeah.
But that's kind of here nor there.
Yeah. I just now that I know he has his own YouTube channel, like I subscribed and I watch every video he does because he's just interesting.
All right. I'm going to be back in just 1 second. I'm going to grab another beer. I don't have one on tap ready to go, so I'll be back in literally like 2 seconds.
All right. All good. But yeah, I just out of curiosity, I pulled up Bauer's stats. Besides one bad year in 2019 where he got traded in the middle of the season, like the dude's been incredible for like 5-6 straight years. I mean, obviously last year was his best when he won the Cy Young, but I don't know. The dude, like I said, is just entertaining. He just knows baseball and he loves the sport. And he'll call out Major League Baseball because he knows what's best for the game, I guess I would say. Like he is all for celebrating home runs and strikeouts and whatever, because I feel like it's just he knows that that's entertaining, and that's what, like, especially a younger audience really likes. And the fact that baseball's so against it is mind-boggling to me still. Um, he's one of those guys that's just fun to watch, and obviously, like Brandon said, it helps that he's very good, but still, it even if he wasn't, I would still at least watch his podcast or his YouTube.
So, do you think if he wins another Cy Young this year, say he does something crazy and goes back to back, you think at this point, even if he fell off a cliff, you think he would have, after like a 6-7 year run, a Hall of Fame career? No championships.
Well, first off, he's been in the league like 10 years.
Well, but his peak though is like 6 years.
If he won 2 Cy Youngs, I feel like yes, he would get in.
Okay, so this is something, if you don't want to get into this right now, that's fine. But I am curious if you want to talk about not him, but just Hall of Fame people, how you judge their careers. Like, what is more important to you, longevity or peak years?
We have on our list Hall of Fame snubs. We could also throw in like what our qualifications are on that.
Okay,
episode.
we'll do that, and we'll save it for another episode.
So yeah, we'll save it
because that's one that I'd be curious to get your opinion on, because I know where I kind of sit on what I think about like how you judge a Hall of Famer. Granted, what do I fucking know? I'm some dude who's just having fun doing a podcast, but like I'm not like a beat writer or anything, you know.
Right, of course.
But I know how I classify Hall of Famers, but I'd be curious to see what your thoughts on that are. So maybe we'll do that in the next couple weeks too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm that would be a cool episode for sure.
Anything else you wanna throw out for this week?
No, I don't think so.
I feel like I had something else I wanted to ask you, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was. Damn, I feel so shortchanged. How long was Bauer with the Indians?
7 years.
Okay, so basically he was only with the Reds for a couple then.
Yeah, he was only with the Reds for a year and a half.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's short. Damn.
His half year was really bad because like he just got traded and
I always,
and then he won the Cy Young.
So this is a pet peeve of mine. I always hate when a guy gets traded even partially through the season, and they're like, "Oh, well, his year was terrible," and they're like judging him off of like, 3/4 of the season in a new spot, and you're like, bro, like, do you understand how much like inconvenience uprooting your entire family in a lot of cases to move to a new city can be? And some guys are former players, they get it, but like for the vast majority of people, I just think people bitch like, oh, he sucked this year. It's like, bro, like how good would you be at your job if they just told you tomorrow, hey, we're moving you 4 states away, you've got to be there, and then you've got to figure out how to get the rest of your family there.
Yeah, it's a lot. Trading people is crazy.
Although I do love it when players get traded to teams they're playing and they literally just go from one dugout to another.
Right.
I always think that that's funny. It doesn't happen a ton, but I feel like it happens once every couple years at least.
Yeah.
It's not super uncommon. It's just not really common.
Yeah, for sure.
The Giants have had that a couple times where they've traded for guys that they were playing against.
Yeah,
it was
I've seen it happen a couple times, but
yeah, it was like, well, hey, you don't have to travel with the team when they leave tomorrow, but you got to figure out how to get the rest of your family out here.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, anybody who's in the live stream right now, stick around. I have a Fanatics box that I'm going to be going and opening. It's one of those, like, I think service boxes. But on that note, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do our outro. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. If you're watching live at twitch.tv/Bases and Brews, go check out our other videos maybe you missed if this is your first time in. We've got 11 other episodes up on YouTube. Pretty much every podcast service you could imagine, minus Apple. We still don't know what's going on with Apple. But everywhere else we should be on there. Just search Bases and Brews. If you want to kind of be a part of the conversation, throw your ideas out there, come and join us live. We do this every Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we will see you guys next week for another episode of Bases and Brews. Have a good one, everyone.
Later.